This is the
Stuck in a Sidequest podcast.
I'm a pretty big podcast listener, and just listening to people, as I listen to podcasts, I've always wanted to partake in a podcast, like talk with them and like listening to Joe Rogan's podcast and everything. It seemed like something I really wanted to do.
And we can just have a conversation. I don't have to worry about how I'm looking. I don't have to worry about much of any of that. It's the thrill of creating something and reaching out to people and just being able to do my own thing.
I really like podcasts because you don't have to watch anything. You can just listen, and I like to multitask and do things at the same time.
I like that it's more of like a one-on-one personal conversation, and like it's more intimate as a form of talking.
Because I like to talk about nerdy stuff, and we all talk about like together. We would just sit around the table for hours talking about all the stuff that we talk about on the podcast now. So
We would sit around a lot here and just hang out and be just talk about stuff, and then we really were like, we should record this, and like this is funny what we're talking about. We should record this.
There's a lot of podcasts that I like to listen to, and a bunch of it is just normal people, having good conversations. And I was like, man, we do that here, so why not start our own podcast?
We are saying some really funny things, and we think people will enjoy listening to us.
I just hope they laugh and enjoy the conversation, and maybe spark up some conversations of their own with people, or maybe they'll introduce them to something that they haven't watched before that maybe they would like.
and I hope that they can relate to it, and they're like, oh, somebody is interested in the same stuff as me, because we kind of live in a time where like people aren't as social, and a lot of conversations and stuff happen over social media or phone, like texting and stuff. And so because of that, I think people don't have as many friends as they used to, and they don't talk to people about as much stuff. So it's kind of cool to get to listen to people and get to know them, even though they don't know us in person, versus just reading about the lore of something on a website or something like that.
I hope they get a good laugh. I hope they get a good laugh. Maybe they learn something occasionally, or I hope they just have a good time listening to us.
My goal is to have fun, just to have fun with family and have a good time.
I'm hoping that, of course, we grow our following, and then maybe we can grow this into something with our business and everything. We can grow it into kind of have it all under us, to where we can help people out if they need it, and make some money while we're at it.
I just wanted to make something that people would enjoy listening to. Like I said, I myself enjoy just normal conversations between people, and so why not talk about things that you love?
At the time, I thought it was a pretty big goal. It was a goal of, I want someone to listen out of the country, someone to listen from another country. I want someone from another country to hear my voice. Well, how far are we in? 13 episodes in, and we've had 3 different countries. I think it's Ukraine, Spain, and there's one more. Oh, England, or Great Britain.
I hope people just enjoy it, and that it's something that they can listen to and get away from the stresses of life and just enjoy their time.
I mean, everybody wants to get like some level of fame or like notoriety or something out of it. I don't have necessarily, it would be cool to be up there with like Joe Rogan or somebody big, but at the same time, if that doesn't happen, I'm still enjoying what we're doing.
With editing and making sure everything sounds right, when we bought mics, we were having trouble with like sound quality and stuff, and then editing certain episodes, sometimes they wouldn't sound too great, or something would happen. But it's all a learning curve. That's what I tell everybody, especially if they start one. It's just a learning curve that you'll get better and better over time, as long as you're paying attention to what you're doing.
It's difficult starting out. You gotta get a little bit of startup money. You gotta buy good equipment, and we just kind of we winged it on the equipment, and it's decent equipment to start out with, I think, but it's not as good as it could be. You know, we've run into a lot of like sound problems, editing problems, just because we're doing it all ourselves and we're having to learn it all by ourselves.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of challenges. Taking the initiative to get started, and once you get past that hurdle,
scheduling. That is probably the biggest conflict. Because I mean, we all still have full-time jobs. Some of us go to school. You know, we got a lot of crazy stuff going on in our lives, and sometimes it gets to where we have to do 2 or 3 episodes in a night to make sure we can cover 2 or 3 weeks in a row. You know what I mean? Because once you commit to something like this, it's on. Once you get into a rhythm of people expecting, like, hey, an episode's going to drop this Friday, an episode's going to drop this Friday, or a mini quest is going to drop this Monday, like, you kind of got to keep it up. You don't want to disappoint the people listening.
Yeah, I'm very big on doing as much as you can yourself. Like, I did the artwork. I'm very big on keeping it close. You take all the credit for yourself. Like, you worked hard on it, and like, if a problem comes up, at least I know how to fix it. So if it happens again, I can fix it instead of me reaching out to a website. You guys edited my podcast. I need help. You know.
The nerd thing I would have to say is Halo Combat Evolved.
It was definitely Star Wars. That's something my dad introduced to me when I was like real young.
it'd have to be Star Wars. When I grew up on Star Wars because I was born in '99, and then Phantom Menace came out, and I saw it at a very young age, I guess. And then I just grew up around all the Battlefront games, and
It would probably be Disney. That would probably be it.
It's really a tie between Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, which I'm a bigger Harry Potter fan than Lord of the Rings, but I got into those movies, and then those movies led to me getting into the books of Harry Potter, and then my grandfather was a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so just talking to him about the movies, he would tell me about the books, and he would tell me about like The Hobbit and the Silmarillion and the other books that went along with it, so I learned what was going on without having to read them, and it was like extra outside of the movies, and I just thought it was fascinating.
And ever since then, it's like, that's always been like my number one thing. The only tattoos I have are Star Wars as of right now. But it's always with a connection to my dad and family and like everything, this Star Wars is what did it.
whole life I've been into like Star Wars, any video games. I've been into just growing up around it, and it was a big part of my dad's life, and it's became a big part of my life.
I started playing it when I was 6 years old. Probably way too young to be playing Halo, but whatever. And I fell in love with it. I was like, who doesn't want to be this big super soldier that is just murdering all these aliens and is going to save humanity? You know what I mean? It's like a superhero to like any kid. You know?
Any Disney, Pixar, anything like that, especially musicals. I like things that go along with music.
I just like getting into the lore of things. Like I like digging deeper, and part of that comes from like me being a Harry Potter nerd. A lot of people around me hadn't read the books, so knowing the extra information, I like being the one to know the extra information and being like, hey, did you know?
It gives me an outlet to talk about what I like and talk about it for quite a while, because our episodes are like an hour and a half. We had an episode last week, it was 2 hours long, so we had to split it in 2 parts. We sat there and talked for 2 hours about one topic, and it just, knowledge and chemistry we have, we can talk forever.
I think that us being family really separates a lot of things. We're really close with each other, and we just have a good connection with each other.
In doing the podcast and stuff like that, you know, you grow closer to the people that you're working with, and you know, everyone that we work with is family. And I mean, it's always good to get the time in with your family and stuff like that, you know, versus only seeing each other, you know, every couple of weeks or whenever your schedule can allow it, you know.
I think that we're unique in that all 5 of us are very different and we're into very different things. While we all might be nerdy, we're all not nerdy about like the same 2 things. And so I think we can reach a wide variety of people on a wide variety of subjects because of that.
There's a lot of other podcasts out there that are like ours, but ours are just, we're just funny. We try to joke. We just try to be funny and fun with everything, and It's just, and it's us. We're real. We're being who we are. We're not trying to be fake or anything to be someone else, to get people to like us. We're just being ourselves. And recently, a lot of people just liked us being ourselves.
And for a long time, we were kind of winging it. Like the day before, we'd be texting, like, what should we talk about tomorrow? But I did create a spreadsheet, and we've got like tabs of like the Harry Potter tab, and then it's a list of all the topics. And so whenever I think of a topic, I just put it on the spreadsheet, and I made a calendar, and I try to split it up evenly. Like anybody who puts their idea on the spreadsheet, they put their name next to it, and then I pick evenly by who's going to lead the topic and try to split it up on the calendar.
Yeah, if we're usually like one person will pick a topic to lead, and they'll do research. We all want to do research, but that main person is the one who will do, like, maybe they'll have some questions for everybody, and they'll give like little factoids and stuff. Just your basic research.
Then we've got to get together. We have to do our sound checks, make sure the mic and all that is working. If it's a topic that somebody's not familiar with, like Scott really likes Halo, and I've played like the first game maybe. If it's something like that where I don't really know anything about, I make sure that I do the research, like maybe watch some videos of people playing the game or whatever it is, just to make sure that I'm knowledgeable enough. Or if I have questions, that's a good thing too, because since we talk about a wide variety of subjects, there may be somebody who's really into Harry Potter and they're listening to the Halo episode and they don't know what's going on either. So if I ask the questions, they get the answers to their questions.
Going back, I want them to enjoy it, but maybe learn things they never knew about a topic that they kind of like or really like or something like that, We try our best to put out, bear with us, but try our best to put out, everything factual and things like that about the stuff we're talking about. And we don't want to give anybody misinformation, but I think that's probably the biggest thing. It's just, you might learn something. You might like something. You might find something that you actually enjoy. Who knows? You may have never watched any of these shows or movies or video games that we've ever played or watched, and you might want to pick it up one day.
I hope we were making it more, always making the podcast for the fans and not for anything else other than that.
I like what we're doing. I look forward to the future in it, and hope we gain some listeners through this documentary.
I see it growing because we're pretty dedicated to it. We're very pleased on what we have so far, and I feel like the only way to go is up. That's the end of this side quest.